This video shows my first ride on our newly acquired half-draft, Betty. You'll see at the beginning of the session and through a good part of the ride that she carries a fair amount of anxiety. I made the choice to simply go with her and see if she could find her way through that. Watch for the point in the video where she finds that breakthrough place and simply decides on her own to be the nice horse she was born to be. Hope you see it, hope you see how important it is, and thanks for watching.
So we're back with Betty. She has been saddled. I was going to do this completely real time, but I realized that I'm in that balance stage where I want to show you a real time session and the process, but I don't want to bore you to death. I'm pleased to say the saddling part was extremely boring. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move her around. I'm very happy that my saddle fits her fine. I have a medium amount of pad on her, and she girths up about like my horse Slim, who is a similar size quarter horse. She is wearing a smooth D-ring snaffle. It is a little bit narrow for her. Not bad, but I may try something else. This is a 5-inch or maybe 5 1/8, and I think if we had another 1/4 inch, it would fit her a little better. Now, being a devout coward, what I'm going to do first is move her around the round pen with the saddle on, just to make sure that I don't get any surprises. Probably not necessary, but rather to do it and not need to do it than to wish you'd done it after you're spitting out sand. So I'm going to turn her loose and shift her around here. Okay, Black Betty. So she starts out a little humpy. I'm not too concerned about that, and I suspect that if I had gotten on and ridden her off, she would have controlled herself. This just lets me get her back leveled out. If you look at the back of the saddle, you can see that the gap between the rear of the saddle and her back is steadily shrinking. That's what you want. She's picking up a better rhythm as she moves around here. Now, when I turn her, that's a likely time for her to, again, sort of act out a little bit. Let's see what happens if I... And again, I'm just a camera today. There, she's starting to level out at the lope. All righty. Now, Betty. Now she changed the lead. She engaged her hindquarters by throwing them up in the air. Okay, let's see what happens if we... There, that was a real good move there, Betty. Take a blow. Now, if you could move off real quiet and smooth, which is asking a bit much, I'd love to just have you walk around a little bit. And now you're listening to every damn word I say, right? Fact is, I think sometimes saying what you're going to do to a horse gives you a little time to pause, gives them a little time to analyze you, so that when you do put your body into the mix, they haven't processed the words, but they've maybe picked up an idea of what happens next. I just want you to move off slow. There you go. And again, though I'm a camera and just watching things, that was a good change. She made my idea her idea. I tried to give her every chance to do that. And she's now doing one of the hardest things you can do with a horse, and that is just walk around the perimeter of the round pen. Because they'll come in, they'll turn back, they'll speed up. There's no limit to all the bad choices they can make. Let's see if we can stop her and get her to look in. Look in. Okay. Look in. See, and I'm just wanting her to look in, so I'm just going to aggravate her. There, she's looking in. No more aggravation. Now, you could chase her around and swap ends until she figured it out on the fly. I'd rather have her process that. Look in. So she's a little stronger turning to the right than the left. Let's move her around this way. Go. Now, I'm not going to insist on anything. I was just curious whether I could draw her in that direction, which it wasn't preferred. That's going to be a little bit of a project, but a very small one. Now, if you notice, she just then looked to the left, which is not her preferred way to look, and I think that's a lovely thing. Where'd I go? Yeah. So I want her to read my body a little better eventually. So that's why I put the stick out there to sort of inhibit her moving forward. And let's call that good. I would like to see her turn to the left to come in. See if we can do that. There we go. See, and that's not her preferred way, but she got to come in for some relief by turning that way, and that's a good place to let her rest. So what do I sort of know? I sort of know that even if she wants to play, she's not going to buck around here in a fashion that tells me I couldn't ride her if she did, and that's reassuring. What I will tell you is, my days of saying, it'd be kind of cool if she bucked a little bit. I haven't ridden one like that in a while. Half of that equation is true. I haven't ridden one like that in a couple of years. I rode Mike when he was a young horse, and he surprised me and bucked pretty damn hard. And I was pleased that I rode him and glad that I didn't have to do it more than once. And I'd like that to be my last bronc ride. The cold hard truth is, if you're going to ride a lot of young horses, it doesn't hurt to be able to ride a bucking horse. I always could. It was never pretty to watch, but it was always functional. And that was good enough for me. At this point, I would say I'm neither as sticky as I once was, nor as brave as I once was. And I'd rather be sticky, but I still wouldn't be very brave anymore. Now, I have no idea if anybody's ever used a mounting block or equivalent with her. So we're just going to see how this goes. I don't technically need it, but I'll take it. The young fella who is riding her, as Ms. Wolf put it, sort of a point A to point B rider. He's also young and limber, of which I am neither. So I suspect he wasn't using a mounting block for any reason and would have been ashamed to do so, as I would have been in my 20s. Now, this is very mobile, but that's not the point. The point is that other than maybe a minor last minute adjustment, I'd just like her to position herself. There we go. You're getting pretty good there. Come on, step up just a little. There we go. There we go. So I promised myself, oh, it's all right, a minor last minute adjustment. That was it. Now, Betty, I'm going to get a whole lot taller all of a sudden. There you go. So that lets me ride her off. What I'm going to do is just have her to where I can take her back end away if I have to. But what I'm not going to do is just repetitively and mindlessly one rein stop her and twist her all like a pretzel. Even though I'm a living camera, I'm a camera. I just want to see how she handles herself. I want to decide in the course of this ride whether I'm going to take her outside and ride her a little bit, which I may do. Well, she got a powerful walk. If she starts to accelerate a little, and I didn't ask her to, I'll just turn her. I get the benefit of a turn, and that will tend to slow her down a bit. Don't know how much round pen riding she's had. I suspect not a whole lot. A little jumpy there. And what I did that I'm not real pleased with myself was when she gave that little startle, I grabbed her face. Worked out okay, but that's not state of the art by any means. Oh, let's bend around. So let's see what happens if I do take her face to the inside. And I don't think she has a whole lot of lateral flexion on her. Tells me something I might want to work on. And she, when I constricted her a little bit like that, her feet quickened up and she got a little bit worried. That tells me that I want to get her to where she has a little more confidence in the bridle before I ask her to do anything real advanced. Now, they've ridden her outside, they've ridden her all over the place, and it went fine. I just am a little more meticulous about when I put myself in that position, because to a degree, when you're just going out across country, you're at the horse's mercy. That's why your trail horse needs to be so broke. So what's the camera in my head recording? She's real forward. She's not real troubled, but you could trouble her. And while she is very responsive to the bit, she's a little troubled by it. And as she bends, here's the truth about bending your horse. When you bend your horse, the saddle gets tighter. And consequently, if they're feeling at all cinch bound, cinchy, if they're a little sensitive to being saddled, that will accentuate that. And I think that could be a little bit what goes on when I bend her. She also is acting a little bit like she thinks she needs to turn more aggressively than what I need. I just need her to walk around in a big donut. So I could ride this mare a whole day, never get her out of a walk, and accomplish quite a bit. I could also get greedy and say, well, I own this thing. I want to walk, trot, and lope quick. Now watch her turn to the right. See how she follows? That's real good. But she's also a little more concerned about the bit and actually a little stiffer that way. A little factoid for you. A lot of times your horse will turn maybe a little bit quicker. They're stiffer away because you get a little more feel of their face and it pulls their shoulder around with them. I want to get them soft so that I can control their shoulder and get what I'm asking for. So I don't want to bore her to death, but I can tell right now I'm not necessarily taking her outside today. Maybe we spend a little more time getting acquainted, and we don't have to get overly ambitious on this first date. Now I know I'm burning up a lot of video time, and I know that people have shorter attention spans, and I guess I maybe am just as guilty as the next, but this is how it really works, folks.
So watch right now. In the space of seconds, you'll see this mare make a decision that everything is going to be okay. She steps away from her anxiety and lands in a better place in the space of seconds. This is the kind of decision that only the horse can make. You can't force it. It's incredibly rewarding when it happens, and I truly believe that a moment like this can change your whole relationship with your horse.
You get on these things, you make decisions as you go, you get to know them, and you take the time it takes. Now what I don't understand is why she suddenly started to creep. Did a little button say she can relax, or is there something going on here that I need to know about? So she's moving slower, she's looking down at the ground. She almost feels like she could convince herself to lie down and have a roll, which I've had happen with young horses, and it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not exactly what you dream of. But for whatever reason, she just sort of hit a little spot and said, I'm gonna just slow down, and maybe she's thinking. Maybe I'm overthinking and she's just ruminating on what's going on here. So could you do a whole lot more? Yep. Would you get a whole lot more done? Maybe not. A fellow said to me long ago, he said, when you're riding your horse, you have to make a decision. Are you going to please yourself by seeing how much you can get done? Or train your horse? He said, I'd rather train my horse than please myself. So if I wanted to show off a little bit and wanted to sort of prove I can do whatever I want, I could walk, trot, and lope her, I think, today, and I wouldn't need to go to the hospital, and she wouldn't have any harm done. But I also don't think it would advance my horse quite like just riding her around and saying, let's just cover a little ground together, and you get the feel for how I'm going to be, and I get the feel for how you're going to be. There's an old Ray Hunt or Tom Dorrance, I forget who originated it, saying that says, first you go with them, then they go with you, then you go together. So what I'm doing right now, for the most part, is I'm going with her. This is her day. And after a bit, I'm going to start to say, maybe not this ride much at all, but I'm going to start saying, now you need to go with me. And when we get those two things down, when I've gone with her enough to know her, and she's gone with me enough to know that she needs to be obedient and reliable, then we begin to go together, and that's when that connection begins, is when you start to go together. So rather than have you folks come along on this long go together that we're involved in here, I'm going to pretty much say that may be today's ride on her, at least for video purposes. I'm just greedy enough to say, what happens if I move her into a trot? Anybody else curious? So whatever that decision was that she made a little while ago, it's holding up pretty good. And if that's what I accomplished today, letting her make that decision that we can get along, and then I'm going to go with her a bit, if that's all I get done today, I'm a happy old guy. So what I'm going to do is pick up on the reins, say whoa, and say goodbye. Thank you.